License to kill? Check. Arsenal of weapons? Check. Laser wristwatch? Check. Vodka martinis and a piece of tail? Oh yeah, check. What do we have? Bond. James Bond. Based on Ian Fleming's novel series, 007 has appeared in 22, count them, 22 films in the official canon. To put it another way, there has been a 007 film in production at least every 4 years for the last 4 decades, making it, to my knowledge anyway, the longest-running film series in movie history. Now, I've seen every Bond film starring Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, and now Daniel Craig. I have not seen the films starring Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, or George Lazenby, so I can't speak for those incarnations of the Bond character. But in my comings and goings online, I haven't heard a whole lot of disdain from the fans over those portrayals of Bond. Now, without a doubt, there are Bond fans that prefer one portrayal over another, most preferring Sean Connery. But for the most part, fans have seemed to be satisfied to let a new face come in every now and again and carry on the legacy. That all changed, however, in 2006 when Daniel Craig was cast to play Bond in the upcoming Casino Royale. Never before had I seen such an outcry over the new Bond. I understand that some Pierce Brosnan fans even boycotted the new films, and you know what? I was one of them. For the longest time, I refused to see either Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace. So, what's the deal? Why was there so much angst about this casting decision? Well, I can't speak for anyone else, so I'll try to articulate what my reservations were. First off, they replaced this with this. I remember seeing the Casino Royale trailers for the first time and thinking, okay, they replaced suave, sophisticated Pierce Brosnan with a big, dumb thug? Great. I really think that was a breaking point for a lot of Bond fans. Now, don't get me wrong, Daniel Craig isn't ugly by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he has the, for lack of a better word, physique that Bond is supposed to have. And from what I could judge by the trailers at the time, I didn't think he had the wit or the charm either. When the names were floating around as to who the next Bond was going to be, I was thinking of people like, ironically enough, Christian Bale or even Jude Law, but not Daniel Craig. He just didn't seem to be Bond material. So, as most of you know, Confused Matthew and I had a little conversation that he aired on his YouTube channel, and a lot of you started talking about the James Bond films. So I decided to man up and go ahead and watch both Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, and I have now seen them both. So, as a lifelong James Bond fan, what did I think? Well, interestingly enough, I didn't hate either of them, and I didn't completely despise Daniel Craig's performance. In fact, I sort of understood what they were going for in it. You see, Casino Royale is the first adventure in the James Bond series. In fact, for the first, I think, 15 seconds of the film, he isn't even a 00 yet. He earns that at the beginning of the film in a way that I thought was done in a very humorous and exciting way. Now, since this is supposed to be a younger, less experienced James Bond, I think they have a little bit of leeway to do some different things with him, and they did in these films. And I can sort of understand where they were going with Daniel Craig now that I've seen the films. There's a little bit of Sean Connery in his voice, and I think they were looking for somebody who could pull that off. Couple that with the fact that I wasn't bored by either film, and that they were well-made, well-directed, and well-acted, and I reach a point where I can give the films a little bit of leeway, especially having to do with what they did to the James Bond character. Now, here's what I don't like, and I think a lot of Bond fans will agree with me. Not only does Daniel Craig look like a big dumb thug as opposed to a suave, sophisticated assassin, he's playing a big dumb thug. In most of the Bond films, you'll have a fist fight here and there, but most of the stunts involve vehicles or really grandiose weapons. But in these two films, it seems like Bond is always slugging it out with someone and stabbing them to death and shooting them to death and knocking them off of buildings. He really comes off more like Jason Bourne than he does 007. And the whole time, there's a really dark hostility behind the performance. There's a kind of mean ruthlessness behind this new Bond that wasn't present in the other Bond films, and frankly, I don't think that James Bond is a mean or ruthless person. Another problem is that virtually gone is the campiness that we've all come to expect from James Bond films. It's part of the fun, it lightens the mood, and it's just generally part of the tradition. Now, I understand that that's what they were going for. They were going for a darker, more serious James Bond. But I don't think that any Bond fans wanted that, at least not as far as they pushed it. Lastly, it sounds like a small thing, but it's really not. The traditional opening of James Bond shooting the point of view of a gun barrel was done differently in Casino Royale and is completely absent from Quantum of Solace. I could sort of understand the fact that it was done differently in Casino Royale, since that was supposed to be Bond's first adventure, but they could have done it in Quantum of Solace, and I don't understand why they didn't do it. That isn't just a good opening, it's a tradition, and I think that that's a tradition that needs to be carried on. So, bottom line, I didn't hate Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace, but I would still prefer that they not cast Daniel Craig as James Bond from here on out. So there you have it. There's my view. Comment, leave your opinions, and I'll be making more videos as time goes on. Until then, this is Stan. Stand-in Stan. Signing off. Oh, by the way, the fact that there was no Agent Q or Moneypenny in the new Bond films is bullshit. Thank you.